Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in for the SLO Basics, What Are Student Learning Outcomes presentation. This is the first of several presentations in the Student Learning Outcomes Academy Blackboard class. So let's get started. What is an SLO? It's the first question we want to ask. SLOs are broad statements about what students will think, what they will know, feel, or be able to do as a result of an educational experience. And we measure those different experiences at different levels within a student's time in a program. We measure at the course level, we measure at the program level, we also measure at the institutional level. For this short presentation, we're going to focus on course and program level. A lot of confusion sometimes about the difference between objectives and outcomes. Objectives are what we intend to teach our students, and they're listed on our course syllabi. Outcomes, however, are what we think students can do once they've been taught these objectives. Once we've accomplished the objectives we set out to do, outcomes are the abilities that students can demonstrate after that. We do focus on two different types of outcomes more prominently. We focus on course student learning outcomes and program student learning outcomes. However, we do have institutional student learning outcomes and general ed student learning outcomes, which we will focus on in other presentations. Course student learning outcomes, of course, are focused on a more narrow level, or a more lower level, I should say, while program student learning outcomes take all of the courses together within a program and set the expectations that we have for students' abilities and knowledge after the completion of a series of courses. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. So some samples of course student learning outcomes. Let's get them all up here. For example, a chemistry course may say that, or expect that students are able to analyze sample laboratory data at the end of their course, and an instructor could assign an experiment or assign a homework assignment that would measure whether or not a student is actually able to do that. Other examples, in an anthropology course, students may collect, describe, use, or students will be able to collect, describe, use, and interpret data. And again, assignments that professors offer in their courses typically can measure these very easily. And you can see the other examples there. For example, the bottom, the communication SLO, to perform basic speech delivery skills. Our program level SLOs are measurements of what students are able to do after they've completed a series of courses within a discipline. And the PSLOs measure skills that cannot be learned simply in one course. It's a broader measurement, and it measures students' abilities after they've completed a series of courses within a program, which may or may not lead to a degree or a certificate. We do have programs at Southwestern College that do not offer a degree or a certificate. However, they are a collection of courses which have an outcome based on the course objectives within those courses. And finally, achievement of several CSLOs should lead ultimately to the achievement of a PSLO. And this is one of the key ways in which we collect data on PSLOs on our district. Some samples of PSLOs. Graduates of the fire protection program, for example, may be technically proficient in the inspection of building fire protection systems. Students in developmental math courses will feel more confident in their ability to solve problems. As you can see from these two examples, the fire science example being a bit more practical, while the mathematics example more pedagogical. Other examples can show the difference between a PSLO which is more pedagogical and one that is more practical. Finally, to recap, SLOs are broad statements about what students will think, know, feel, or be able to do as a result of an educational experience, and we do measure those at different levels of that experience at the course, program, and institution-wide level. The objectives name what you intend to teach, while outcomes measure whether or not students have actually learned it. PSLOs are measured after students have completed a series of courses within a specific discipline, and PSLOs can measure practical or pedagogical outcomes. So that's the end of this presentation. Please dial back into the Blackboard class for the next presentation, and don't forget the quiz that you'll take at the end of this section.